All right, so here I'm jumping into the technical aspect of the song um, as it relates to my process for mixing mixing the song. So you'll see here um, this this setup actually this particular template has evolved since. Like I said, this was at the height of the pandemic, or at the end of it, should I say? I'm sorry, but so I've since changed this template. But here, um, um, you'll see my process here. Um, I always send out each one of the elements as it relates to the individual tracks. If I'm not sending them to a designated bus, if I'm not processing that particular element as it relates, for example, here the toms, I have the toms going here to a bus here, and as you see, it's only two tracks of toms as well on the drums, and so I didn't do a whole lot, and didn't have to do a whole lot to the toms, of course, because there wasn't a lot of hits on the toms. So basically, what I did there was, let me actually just start from the drums, actually. So I have two kicks here. Um, and so what I did was um, I triggered another one here to also make up kick two. I gated the first one and then committed that, so there's no noise in it at all. Um, and I'm sending the kick to a bus here, uh, and basically all I'm doing here is um, the boost here, and I'm doing a cut. I'm doing a cut here as well, which is around the 400 range or so, um, just to kind of take out some of that muddiness there. And I have another boost here, which is at 8K or so, um, and these are my boosting cuts here. So, and I'm also sending this to a generator, a signal generator, and so my approach here was to create like a kick sub, if you will, and uh, and to do that, I'm sending this kick bus to what I call a kick sub aux, and I labeled it as that so I know what it is. But I'm sending it to this particular bus as well, and uh, I pulled up a signal generator here that I have at 60 hertz, and I gated it. I put up a C1 gate, and you'll notice that it's of course it's triggered when the kick hits. And that again, that's basically, to add a little subharmonic there to the kick, um, and that was in this template. Now I do the same thing in my mixes now, but I use a um, what's called Boom from from Plug-in Alliance, and it basically and I normally always set it to 100 or so, and so it makes life easier for me now. But but same approach. Okay. I normally like to have my bass close to the kick as it relates to the way I'm looking at my tracks. So up on the kicks, the next thing that I normally approach is my bass going up against my kick. So here, what I did was I duplicated the bass and I started to actually do some processing on this one, but I left it raw on the original bass itself, duplicated that and pulled up UAD's 1176, you know, and just to add a little more presence there and tame it as well. So that's so you can hear the difference there. And I'm sending that down into our bass, you know, to add a little more grit to the bass as well. And again, I'm going after that nostalgic sound, you know, the old classic sound. So, and to be able to kind of keep that at a certain volume, you know, so it wouldn't go down below. I didn't necessarily want to bring out another compressor, but this is kind of what it does as well with the max volume. So I pulled that up as well, you know, to keep it at a certain threshold. And here, with the snares, let's take a listen at the snares right quick. Okay, so there was a few things I did here. This is the, let me take the gate off here. So you can hear that old classic snare there. So here, if you notice, there are two snare tops. So the approach here was there was a additional mic added on the snare as well, and I processed that one differently in terms of the EQ. So I had a 57 and actually because all my other mics were already being used, I pulled out a 414, and I processed that pretty heavy, you know, and added a little more EQ as well going into it. And actually, as a matter of fact, I actually think I ran that through the 737. Actually, most of the time I'm using 737 for bass. You know, sometimes I would do vocals, but I actually ran it through here to capture this.
Mixing is a very, very hard art to master. I know because I've been trying to master this art for several years. That is one of the reasons why I do Mix Mondays. It's a learning environment, and every mix that I do, I learn something new. And I've taken everything that I've learned over the years and we have poured it into our mixing templates. Mixing templates are a great starting place, and we have created several templates that allow you to get up and going quickly. And we have created them for Logic Pro X. We have created them for Pro Tools, for Studio One, for Ableton Live, and so many others. So if you're interested in taking your mixing to the next level, or even just getting started, make sure you check out these links down below in the description of this video and grab your template today. All right, back to the show.
Snare bottom, of course, here. And to add a little attack, I add some triggers as well. I use trigger 2, and I pulled up some sounds. Again, also thanks to Yash Warehouse drum sounds. Again, that another shout out to John Mike. John Mike is all over the place. So shout out to to John for these sounds. So I pull from those sounds to add some attack to the snare, which is and I pulled up 2 instances of those, which is this and one, in which they all make up. And so I sent them to this Q8. Nowadays, I'm kind of going to the EQ with a fab filter, actually. But on this, I pulled up the Q8 from Waves, and you can see here some of the boosts and cut. I'm doing around 200, about 3 dB of gain here. Here I'm right at about 3K here, a boost there, and right at 8K. I did quite a bit of boosting here, about 9 dB of gain here, and that gave me that. Hi-hat, I really didn't do anything to. Just panned that. Again, tom, two toms here, so there was really not much work to do there. Okay, and then I just ran those into their own aux or bus as well, EQ'd them, and just did a little notch here around 5K or so, and added a LA 2A here. Overheads, basically here. I have the C4 to do some dipping here, if you notice here. Without it, I wanted to tame some of that high end on it as well. And sometimes what I'll do as well, if there's too much noise or stuff that's inside of the overheads as well, sometimes I'll bring in at a certain point, some samples of cymbals for crashes as well. So you'll notice here at this one spot here, I bought this in, and that was just to kind of have something else alone to add sustainability there at that point. Okay, and claps here. Basically, I just put up another LA2A, the gray version here on my claps to tame one and get the other one here to sit. Here, the loop that I pulled from Loop Element, I'm calling it Hat Shaker Loop, as you see here. I just pulled up the stock plug-in in Pro Tools, and I wanted to use it almost as a filtered loop here. So that's what this is doing here. Bring it up. Without it. So here. And again, you really don't hear this inside of the song with all of the tracks, but it's there, to keep the elements moving in the whole nine. Piano, I really didn't do anything but just pull up another element of LA2A here, and it's doing maybe, you see, it's not even quite doing 2 dB of reduction there. Same thing on the Rhodes. And the synth here, what I did was I pulled up a stock plug-in again, the EQ3, just to add some top here. And what is this? Around 5.4 K. And I did some cutting here, so I wouldn't have any information that's not needed on the bottom end. On both of those organs, basically all I did was I kind of kept them kind of dirty, so I didn't necessarily do any, especially on the second organ. It's got a lot of grit to it, which is what I was going after, so I didn't really do any EQ into it, because I did that adjusting on the way that I did the controls on the drawbars itself. But I just added, LA2A. If you notice, I love LA2A. So CP80, same thing. Once it shows up in the track, I just added, to keep it tamed as well. And I always, on guitars, I always like to kind of go after width. So normally my approach with that is pulling up a mod delay, to kind of help add some depth and some width to that. So this is the my demo stage of the guitar that I kept inside of the track. So without it is this. With. And you can hear that it added a little depth to it and expanded the width as well. And just added, some EQ. And you'll notice here, I'm not doing any boosting. Everything here is a slope with some cuts here. Cuts within the 600 range or so. In that 1K range as well. Okay. Kind of the same approach. Didn't necessarily do anything with EQ, and one of the things that I always admonish producers to do whenever you're hiring people, especially whenever you're hiring musicians, is to make sure, especially if they're recording your stuff remotely, make sure you're hiring guys that can not only just play the parts as well, but sonically will be able to deliver to you what's needed. So the guys I go to, that's another reason why I go to the particular guys I go to. Is not just because I know that I'm gonna get the right track back musically, but I know I'm gonna get it a good quality, and I don't have to worry about what the sonics are going to be. So if you'll notice on the guitars, I don't have any EQs, and that's because I didn't have to do anything to them when I got them. Even not even having to cut. So basically, what I did to this distortion guitar was the same approach. I added some depth and some width to that. Without it, is this. And again, great sounding guitar. Great sounding guitar. And as you can hear, there's nothing really to be done to it. So basically, again, all I did was added some width and some depth. Without, with. Just put up another instance of the LA2A. And I did quite a amount of compression there. And so basically all I did was just more so just set them in the mix and just put them in their own space. And I have that first element of the distortion guitar, hard left and right. This track here that's called Fuzz guitar. It's like a rhythm wah theme. I just basically sent it to a reverb and just panned it. Lead guitar here. I have it right up the center, and I kept it in the center during those moments where there's nothing that's going on vocally, lead wise, so it wouldn't clash with the lead singer. And plus, that's also the feature on the intro as well. So I just kept it, again, straight up the center. Rhythm guitar, basically all I did was find its space and just panned it left. Creamy. Rick Wofford. And again, so on the bus itself, I just have some amounts of compression and reverb. So let's go down to the vocals here. Okay, so the way I normally like to mix my vocals, some vocals I generally don't like to have all of my vocals panned hard left and hard right. Sometimes I'll go for that, but most of the time I don't, because I kind of like for them to kind of still have their own space, within the dimensions sonically. So, but what I did here on Lucinda's background vocals, I kept hers panned hard left and hard right so that she could be the wall of the vocals here. As you can hear right here. Hear you. I hear you. To the guitar out. Hear you. Okay. So here, what I did was on Sharia's vocal, her top vocal, you'll see I have her panned 97 on both sides, which is this, and then Lejeune. I have her inside of Sharia, and then on those same parts where Sharia and Lejeune are singing the same parts, I have them pant the same on both sides as well. Then the tenor parts, I like to have them more inside of the vocals as well. And I have them sending, I have Sharia's going to her own aux, and I kind of doubled, I pulled out this doubler here, just to add a little more, not necessarily width to it, but a little more nuance, a little more body as well. I didn't want to necessarily do it with EQ. So that was my reason for doing that with her. I send them all to this aux, and here I pull up the that max volume here. I'm de-essing them, of course, to be retained. This is a limit. This here is really a mastering limiter. Well, this is what it was intended for, but I actually I normally always use it on my vocals as well, and I use it to be able to sit in a particular place, and hold on, let me pull these vocals here, so you can hear exactly what I'm saying here, and you can hear what they're doing. Okay. I hear you. Hear you. Okay, without it. Hear you. I hear you. With. Hear you. I hear you. And it's transparent. It's by a company called Massey. And they have a few, they didn't make a lot of plugins. They have a few plugins. I think they have another compressor plugin. I think it's CT5. One of their earlier versions is CT4 or so. So it always sits on my vocals, my background vocal chain. And again, pulling up the RDSer to tame, some of the sibilants. And of course, my go-to as well with the LA2A. I normally do 2 sets of verbs as well. And as you can see here, here they're actually doing the same, but this here should be set to a different pre-delay. I have both of these set to, and this is a stock reverb here. Normally, I'm now using. I normally use the my go-to is the LX480 a reverb. That's in my template now, but this the classic D-verb. I have both of those set. One is doing a different pre-delay. I'm sorry, than the other one, and both of them set at a large plate. And I'm sending one a different amount versus the other. You'll see one is at minus 11.3. And the other one is at minus 15.8. From there, I'm doing the same thing here with my mod delay. And then I don't have this here, but normally I would have I normally use Echo Boy to add some more delays on there just to give it a little more space as well. So that's my normal approach as it relates to my vocal chain and my send and returns as it relates to my BGVs. And again, this is what Let me reselect them here. That's what they sound like.
You, I hear you, hear you, I hear you.
Okay.
Mixing is a very, very hard art to master. I know because I've been trying to master this art for several years. That is one of the reasons why I do Mix Mondays. It's a learning environment, and every mix that I do, I learn something new. And I've taken everything that I've learned over the years and we have poured it into our mixing templates. Mixing templates are a great starting place, and we have created several templates that allow you to get up and going quickly, and we have created them for Logic Pro X, we have created them for Pro Tools, for Studio One, for Ableton Live, and so many others. So if you're interested in taking your mixing to the next level, or even just getting started, make sure you check out these links down below in the description of this video and grab your template today. All right, back to the show.
All right, and so the approach that I took on Lucinda's vocal here, you'll see that I duplicated her vocal, and I left the initial one untouched. I did all my adjustments going in as it relates to compression on it. I generally don't like to go in with a lot of compression, just a little bit to be able to just tame it suddenly. So here you see that there's nothing on it here. The second aspect of it, I put up a 76 here, just to kind of set it at a level and have it steady as well. And I'm sending it to its designated octave as well. I have it with a, starting off the chain here with a de-esser again to just tame, some sibilance. That's feeding into my trusted LA2A. And I have that sitting here with my max volume just to keep it out of threshold as well. And I pulled up the UAD pull tech, just to kind of add some body to it. And I like the top end that the pull tech adds to elements. It's not harsh or the whole nine, and the mere fact that you can attenuate, each one of those different frequencies as well. And then at the end of that chain, I added another LA 2A here as well, and I have those sending to the LX 480 Verb, and again I'm using that send as well, going into a mod delay again just to add some width and some depth to it without trying to do all of that with reverb as well, and just added another instance of delay, and which is what you hear here.
It's a sound in the atmosphere. It's a sound ringing in my ear.
And some of that, especially on this, I had to approach with these compressors as well to be able to change some of that leakage. Because again, Lucinda, she likes her headphones blasting. So some of this approach as it relates to the other instances of these compressors is the reason why I have those inserted as well, just to be able to kind of tame those as well in between her lines, or even while she's going on, because I did, of course, some cleanups in the middle of it. But that's that chain there, and let's listen to it with and without.
A sound ringing in my ear. Lord,
Okay, and
yes,
as I'm pulling these in, you can
it's
hear
a
what it's doing.
sound in the atmosphere.
And if you'll notice, so a lot of producers or engineers, sometimes, they would tell you as well, to pay attention to your meters, in the whole nine. I do. I pay attention to my meters, but to a default, I make sure I'm going by my ear as it relates to what sounds good as well. So just because it looked like it may be slamming the meters, but if it sounds good to me, doesn't make me any difference. I'm going for it. So and here, let me get to this section here. You can see it looks like it's slamming this meter to life.
A sound ringing in my ear.
But it works for the sound that I'm going for, and with it, this is the outcome. And that's my approach to this song and how I approach the mix on it. And hopefully you were able to learn something as it relates to what to do or even what not to do. All right. Thank you. Lord, I hear you. Listen to more. Thank you, gospel producers.